Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
My anxiety was mostly because of the fact that I felt that was the end of the world. Either I make it or I break it, or cat is the end of the world. Either I make it or I break it. I'm from Ghaziabad and I've done most of my schooling there. I've done my 10th and 12th there. So my 10th CGPA was 9.2 on 10 and my 12th percentage was 84%. ZAT was 97.78. So when it comes to why pursued MBA is because throughout law school we're required to do multiple internships, and during one of those internships I sort of realized that a corporate career is something that I'm looking forward to, but I wasn't sure if it was law or not, and I didn't even think of the prospect of not pursuing law at that point, which is my second year, I think. And I did the first level of CS, which is the foundation course, just to understand if this is the kind of career I'm looking at in corporate or not. It was very interesting, the whole compliance aspect of CS. But I realized that I'm looking for something slightly more dynamic, which is why I kept exploring further, and chanced upon a conversation with a certain MBA plus law graduate, and realized that MBA is something that aligns with not only my personality but also a lot of the dreams I'd seen for myself in career. I wouldn't be brave enough to say career goals because I think I'm still exploring those. Cat and Zat have largely similar prep, like you pointed out. Zat has decision making section which is completely new, and since there is just one body which administers the exam, so the DM is completely uniform throughout the years that Zat has been happening. So following that approach, I think yes, there are some tricky questions here and there in ZAT, and they're mostly in the QA section, I feel, because ZAT tests a lot of tricky concepts in their paper, which sort of gives out this whole image of why ZAT is tougher than CAT. But it's honestly about how well you have prepared. I don't think there is stigma about why ZAT is tougher than CAT. ZAT is a very well thought out exam like CAT, and nobody's making exams tougher, by their own will. It's just that they try to pick up the exceptions and test you on that. And CAT tests you sometimes on the exceptions and sometimes on the basics of the concept, so it's comparable that way. LRDI in ZAT is, yes, very DI heavy and very calculation heavy. So it was a certain disadvantage for me because I don't have a lot of flair for calculation. Then again, DM is again a ground zero for everybody. So that is one major difference between CAT and ZAT, and often the deal breaker also. As for my preparation strategy after CAT, um, once IFT was done, I think I spent a good 1.5 weeks just solving the ZAT previous years as mocks. I felt like if there is a certain body which is doing something for so many years, that should be our primary source of preparation. Number one. Number two, decision making is something, yes, it is something that they're testing you on in a section which can have the possibility of being subjective. You need to make sure that you're understanding the paper, you're understanding the person who's making the test year after year, and you also of course have your own decision making capabilities. So it is very important to understand the exam and understand the person who's making the exam also in decision making. So that is why instead of attempting third party mocks or third party questions on decision making, the primary source for prep should be your ZAT papers. What I did was I solved all the ZAT papers one after the other as mocks, and the decision making section analysis for the decision making section specifically, if I'm going to talk about that. So if there are a certain number of questions in decision making which I got right and the ones which I got wrong, I would first look at the questions I got right. Okay. And why I would do that is because I wanted to analyze if I'm thinking in the right direction, and the way I'm thinking needs to be replicated in all my exams, right? In all the ZAT exams that I give, mocks I give forward. if I have a certain psyche captured in a certain type of question that they're asking. Say, for example, in a question where they're asking me to make a moral decision, or they're asking me whether the environment is more important than, say, profit making. So I need to understand the kind of background that the college or the institution that's administering it is coming from, and then attempt these questions. So if I get them right, then I need to know that this is the approach I need to follow in the rest of my questions. And then I would reattempt the questions I'd done wrong. So mostly what used to happen is I used to get about 50 to 60% of them right in the second attempt once I knew the psyche that they were looking for. And after that, the rest of the questions that I didn't get right, I would refer to explanations from third party sources, because there are tons of explanations available online, through CL, IMS, and all these websites. So I would look at their explanations and see what could be the reason why, say, D is the correct answer instead of B, which I'd marked. So this used to be my process for decision making. But DM is something you need to specially focus on if you are sort of going for that. Other than that, so if my mock used to be 3 hours, I used to spend about 4 hours analyzing it initially, because I needed to, nip it in the bud and see where I'm going wrong. But this is only for like 1.5 ish weeks, because, like I said, I tend to get very stressed, and then I end up messing my exams up quite a bit. So after this particular phase of preparation for a good 1.5 to 2 weeks, I was found on LinkedIn, or baking, or cooking, or just chilling, meeting my friends who I hadn't met in months, because I realized that I needed to get rid of my anxiety. My prep is done. There is nothing I can do more in this preparation, because if I started to work on my preparation a little more, I would probably end up stressing myself out and ruin that as well. I would, do all the things that I wanted to do in the last 2 months. And how that helped me was that my anxiety was mostly because of the fact that I felt that was the end of the world. Either I make it or I break it, or cat is the end of the world. Either I make it or I break it. But I needed to get rid of that. And this particular fear of make it or break it was coming from the fact that I was a fresher and I graduated in May. So since then, I've been preparing. I haven't done anything apart from preparation, barring a few certificate courses here and there. So I was on LinkedIn to just explore the possibility of getting a job, and I would talk to so many people. I still remember I would talk to random people who I found had pursued law and MBA, and I would message them on LinkedIn, try to get time from them, talk to them, and tell them that this is what's happened, and I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing anymore. That particular 2 weeks, I think, was the more important part in my preparation. The decision making section was very, I mean, I spoke to a lot of peers here, and I realized that a lot of people who got through the decision making section were they only got through it because they practiced using the ZAT papers uh, from the very first one in 2008, if I'm not wrong, and I mean the available ones. So if you are practicing through third party sources, there their way of making the decision making paper may be very different from what the college is expecting. So my only advice to you is, whatever preparation you are doing, it needs to be from the XLRI past year papers, and that really helps, to be honest. During my early preparation days, I hadn't thought of HR at all, in all honesty, because I didn't know about the field enough. Thinking about HR actually happened when I met somebody sometime in September, and I started speaking to them. So they had done an HR from XLRI. So I started speaking to them, and I tried to understand what an MBA in HR actually is. And this is when I realized that the MBA, especially in HR at XLRI, is very, very law centric. And it started making perfect sense to me to sort of, be aiming for MBA HR as well, because that is one of the most motivating factors for me after CAT, because I knew that I still have the option of pursuing something that really aligns with my undergraduate degree. For my GDPI prep, I joined a coaching class in Delhi, And this is mostly because I wanted to catch up on a lot of key concepts, say for example in economics or the world politics, etc. Just brush up on a lot of concepts, no, just be a well aware person in general, and I think that helps you through GDs. And know yourself. You don't have to fake it in PIs because they're very senior people who are doing the PIs. So if you fabricate any information, they are going to catch you red handed. Make sure that you're yourself and you're not pretending to be someone. If you genuinely, I mean, it may be a very cool thing to say that you read books, but if you don't read books, you don't say it, because if they catch you, it's going to leave a very bad impression. I mean, my top three things that I did for PI was just read up on the things that I may not have read up on in the past 1 year, brush up certain key concepts related to, example, economics and business, which I think were very important for a person trying to, sit for GDPIs. Then the third thing that I did was, my SP call was for marketing, my Excel calls were for BM and HR, and IMT was also marketing, I think. So I brushed up on a lot of marketing concepts. So the whole 5 Ps and 7 Ps of marketing, etc. All those things I started preparing during this time, because I mean a candidate is expected to know, and I've read that through Inside IIM interviews only. People's experiences, etc. And for HR interviews, I read on a couple of HR concepts. And so the most important thing that I did was revise my academics, because law happens to integrate very well with business. Law happens to integrate very well with HR, especially labor law and industrial relations, etc. Marketing, you can always put in some IPR here and there, intellectual property rights. So I needed to be very strong in some subjects from my from my UG academics. So I brushed up on that mostly, and I think that took a lot of my time, because there was a lot of volume to be covered in my law revision. I was crying left, right, and center, because I had been stressing about it quite a bit, and the results were also very delayed. When the result came, I think it was 12:30 in the night, and I woke my entire house up and I told them that, you know what, this has happened, and I finally did what I aimed to do. And yeah, it was a great night. I didn't sleep out of excitement.
Hi guys, Inside IM has come up with an exciting new one-on-one mentorship product where you get to interact with superstar managers from different businesses, different functions. You can ask them everything around your career, your education, your future success. If you are interested, the link is in the description below. Thanks.